In this episode, I talk with Sarah Devereaux. And while Sarah is still young, certainly compared to me, she has already filled her life with some amazing achievements and is living life the way that she wants to live it. As you'll hopefully know by now, if you've seen other episodes, this segment of the podcast is about wisdom worth sharing. At the end of every interview, I'll look back as part of the editing process and discover some of the gems that came out in the conversation and summarize them here. Sarah shared with us that she and her partner had become teenage parents, and that instead of this blessing holding their careers back in any way, their situation became the motivation for them to succeed. It drove them to make decisions they may not have made if they hadn't have had a young family to support. Decisions which ultimately have resulted in them both being successful in their own right. Sarah has started a number of successful businesses. She's the youngest person to attain Master Certified Coach credentials through the International Coaching Federation. And between them, now 17 years on in their relationship, the couple own multiple properties and have been in a position to be able to take 6 months off and travel as a family with their 3 daughters to discover what the next phase of life could be like. Sarah talked quite a bit about the need to do this, to take a pause and just be, in order to reflect and find her essential self. There were several important lessons within this segment of the interview. One was recognizing that even when you have created a business, you've built it from the ground up, and you've turned it into a successful machine, when you are no longer doing what you intended to do within the business, and possibly no longer enjoying it, maybe it's time to reflect and ask yourself, is this still the right thing for me to be doing? We discussed the need to be in your element, enjoying your business. Because if you're not, and even if the business is doing well, can you say that you are truly successful? Now, I've always said that there's only 2 reasons why people do anything. One is to gain something, and the second is to avoid a loss. It's hard to let go of things that you already have, so the strongest emotions are usually involved in avoiding a loss. And as Sarah said, it was the fear of losing something, letting go of what she had created, that was the strongest emotion for her. It was holding her where she was. It wasn't the fear of what's coming next. While Sarah was in it, she couldn't see a way out of it. And I think this applies to any situation that is, for whatever reason, causing us angst. If we are too close, it's hard to have any kind of objectivity. So our logical and rational thinking is impeded by our emotions. Sarah needed to get away, to be able to see her business from a different perspective. When she was able to look from the outside in, or actually not even be looking at all, instead being in the moment enjoying her family, that's when clarity came to her. And that was that she wasn't where she was supposed to be. Allowing her mind to sort things out in the quiet of her pause away from everything made the obvious next step so much easier. Not easy, but easier to take. Although still somewhat emotional thinking about it, she was able to make the decision to step away from the baby that she had grown and start another business opportunity, one more aligned with where her values and goals were now. Interestingly, her new venture, Pause Retreats, is exactly what she did for herself. And I'm sure it will be a success because who couldn't benefit from a pause away from everything? You could say that this was a brave move, but after listening to Sarah's story, we shouldn't be surprised of her bravery or her tenacity to make things work. As Sarah described, her attitude is, feel the fear and do it anyway. After becoming a young mum, she decided that she wasn't just going to get any old job for any old company. She left her role at the bank as a teenager after just 1 year, and she's never looked back. She said she needed to be in control of her destiny, be able to be the best mum that she could be, but also not be limited or capped in what she could earn. And that meant she needed the flexibility, freedom, and unlimited scope that only her own business could provide her. So that's what she did. Sarah also mentioned that the support of her family when it came to finding her way in life was important, with her mum calling her from work one day to say that she'd seen a coach and she thought that Sarah could be great at that. Sarah had never heard of life coaching before that call. Her mum was a catalyst to a great career because she was able to see in her daughter the skills and attributes that would make a good coach. And it turns out that Sarah became a great coach, one of the best. This demonstrates how important it is for us as parents, co-workers, leaders and managers to look for and point out the attributes of those around us, because they may not realize what they're good at or what possibilities lay ahead for them. So yes, Sarah's mum believed in her, but also, and most importantly, Sarah believed in herself. She just needed a direction to head in, and her mum helped her with that. Even before being a coach, Sarah was using the kind of advice on herself that she would give others later in life. But without even realizing that was what she was doing. I believe her natural ability to self-reflect and understand her own behavior and motivation is what has contributed to her being such a great coach for so many people over the last decade. An example of this is being conscious, even at such a young age, to know that people would probably be talking about her, being a teenage mum, but having the ability to recognize this for what it is and to decide not to pay any attention to what anyone else is thinking. In my view, this has played a significant part in enabling Sarah to build the life she has now. Unfortunately, we are not all conscious enough to be able to do this, but it's powerful if we can, now more so than ever. We live in a world where opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all have the tools and mechanisms in social media to share theirs, whether anyone's interested or not. We all need the ability to switch that off and not be affected by it. Far easier said than done, I know, but think about this. How much time are we spending worrying about the thoughts and opinions of people we don't even know or like? And what is the impact of that? How often do we say we don't have enough time to do the things that could make a positive difference to our lives, but yet we can spend hours each day on the opinions of others that make no difference to us, except they rob us of the time that we cannot get back? Maybe that's worth a pause and some reflection too. I hope you enjoyed listening to Sarah's story as much as I did, and hopefully you've been able to take something away that you can apply to some aspect of your life, work, and legacy. Use it. Share it with others. Sharing is like teaching, and it helps cement things in your mind, and it helps us commit to change, which is always required if we're going to enhance our life's work. I wish you well for the future. I hope you are happy, safe, and successful in all that you do. And remember, live a life that is a story worth retelling. I'm Steve Worsley, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Life's Work, the podcast all about wisdom worth sharing.